The afternoon sun filtered through the kitchen window of our modest apartment in Cleveland, Ohio, casting long shadows across the worn linoleum floor. I was washing dishes, my hands deep in soapy water, when my daughter Emma walked in. She had just turned 18, and her graduation from Lincoln High School was only 3 days away. I turned to smile at her, but the expression on her face stopped me cold. She stood in the doorway, her backpack still slung over one shoulder, her eyes fixed on the floor. Something was wrong. "Hey, sweetheart," I said, drying my hands on a towel. "How was school?" Emma shifted her weight from one foot to the other. The silence stretched between us like a chasm I didn't know how to cross. Finally, she looked up, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before: shame. "Dad, I need to talk to you about graduation," she said quietly. "Of course. I've been looking forward to it. I even bought a new shirt for the occasion." I tried to sound cheerful, but a knot was forming in my stomach. She took a deep breath. "That's the thing, Dad. I don't want you to come." The words hit me like a physical blow. I stood there, frozen, the dish towel still in my hands. "What? Please don't make this harder than it already is," Emma said, her voice cracking. I can't have you there." "Why?" The word came out as barely a whisper. She looked away again. "You know why. Look at you. Look at this place. My friends' parents are doctors, lawyers, business owners. Their dads drive nice cars and wear expensive suits. And you're a janitor, Dad. You work at the mall. You show up places in your work uniform because it's all you have." If you're watching this and feeling the weight of these words, please leave a comment telling us what city you're watching from. Your support means everything to this channel. ****. Each word was a knife to my heart, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Emma, I've worked hard to give you everything you needed. I put you through school." I know," she interrupted, and now tears were streaming down her face. "I know you have, and I'm grateful, I really am. But this is my day, Dad. This is the one day where I want to feel normal, where I don't want to be the girl with the janitor father. Is that so wrong?" I stared at my daughter, this young woman I'd raised alone since her mother left us when she was 5. I'd worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. I'd helped her with homework, sat through parent-teacher conferences, cheered at her school plays. And now she was ashamed of me. "I see," I said quietly. "If that's what you want." "Thank you," Emma said, relief flooding her voice. "Thank you for understanding." She turned and walked to her room, leaving me standing alone in the kitchen. I sank into a chair, my legs suddenly unable to hold me. The afternoon light seemed dimmer now, the shadows longer. For several minutes, I just sat there trying to process what had just happened. Then, slowly, an idea began to form in my mind. If Emma was ashamed of who I was, maybe it was time to show her and everyone else exactly what a janitor father could do. Don't forget to hit that like button if this story is touching your heart. We need your support to keep bringing these powerful narratives to life. ****. That evening, I made several phone calls. The first was to Marcus, my supervisor at the mall. "Marcus, I need to take the day off for my daughter's graduation." "Of course, Tom. Family comes first," Marcus replied warmly. "Thanks. And Marcus, I need a favor." The second call was to Sarah Chen, the principal at Lincoln High School. We'd met numerous times over the years at school events. "Mrs. Chen, this is Tom Harrison, Emma's father. I have an unusual request regarding the graduation ceremony." "Mr. Harrison, always good to hear from you. What can I do for you?" I explained my plan. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "That's quite unconventional," Mrs. Chen said slowly. "But I think I understand what you're trying to do. Let me make some calls." The third call was the hardest. I dialed a number I hadn't called in over 10 years. It rang 4 times before a familiar voice answered. "Hello." "Rachel," I said. "It's Tom. I need to tell you something about our daughter." My ex-wife listened in silence as I explained the situation. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "She said that to you?" Rachel's voice was thick with emotion. Tom, I'm so sorry. I'm not calling for sympathy, I said. I'm calling because she needs to learn something. And I think you should be there to see it. I'll be there, Rachel said without hesitation. What are you planning? You'll see, I replied. I'll see you at graduation. If you're enjoying this story, please subscribe to the channel. We release new content every week, and your subscription helps us continue sharing these meaningful stories. The next 2 days passed in a fog. Emma barely spoke to me, clearly relieved that I'd agreed to stay away. She spent most of her time in her room or out with friends, preparing for graduation and the parties that would follow. I, meanwhile, was preparing something else entirely. On the morning of graduation, I woke up at 5 a.m. The ceremony wasn't until 6 in the evening, but I had a lot to do. I showered, shaved carefully, and put on my usual work clothes, khaki pants and a navy blue shirt with my name embroidered on the pocket. Emma was still asleep when I left the apartment. The day was warm and clear, perfect weather for an outdoor graduation ceremony. As I drove toward the school, I thought about all the sacrifices I'd made over the years. The overtime shifts, the second jobs, the nights I'd gone to bed exhausted, wondering if I was doing enough for my daughter. I never wanted Emma to struggle the way I had. My own father had abandoned our family when I was young, and I'd sworn I would never do that. I'd stayed. I'd worked. I'd provided. And somehow that wasn't enough. But maybe, just maybe, I could teach her one final lesson. Leave a comment below about what you think Tom is planning. We love hearing your thoughts and theories. By noon, everything was in place. I met with Mrs. Chun one last time to go over the details. She shook her head with a mixture of amusement and admiration. You're either very brave or very crazy, Mr. Harrison, she said. Maybe both, I admitted. But she needs to understand. At home, Emma was getting ready. I could hear her moving around her room, the blow dryer running, music playing. When she emerged at 4 o'clock, she looked beautiful in her white graduation gown, her dark hair styled in loose waves. You look wonderful, I said from my spot on the couch. Thanks, Emma replied, not quite meeting my eyes. I'm heading over early to meet up with some friends. Have a great time, sweetheart. I'm proud of you. She paused at the door, her hand on the knob. For a moment, I thought she might say something, apologize, change her mind, ask me to come after all. But then she nodded and left, the door clicking shut behind her. I sat in the silence of the empty apartment for a few minutes. Then I stood up, grabbed my keys, and headed out. It was time to go to my daughter's graduation. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, make sure to catch Chapter 1 first so you don't miss any part of this incredible story. And please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what happens next. Lincoln High School's football field had been transformed for the graduation ceremony. Rows of white chairs stretched across the perfectly manicured grass, with a raised platform at one end decorated with the school colors, blue and gold. Hundreds of parents, family members, and friends were already arriving, dressed in their finest clothes, carrying cameras and flowers. Emma stood with her classmates near the school building, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. This was it, the moment she'd been waiting for. The end of one chapter, and the beginning of another. She'd been accepted to Ohio State University with a partial scholarship, and her future felt bright and full of possibility. Emma. Over here, her best friend Jessica called out, waving. Jessica's parents stood nearby, her father in an expensive suit, her mother in a designer dress. They smiled and waved at Emma. You look amazing, Jessica said, hugging her. Are you nervous? A little, Emma admitted, but mostly excited. Where's your dad? Jessica asked, looking around. I wanted to say hi. Emma's stomach tightened. He couldn't make it. He had to work. It was a lie, and it tasted bitter on her tongue. But it was easier than the truth. Easier than admitting she'd told him not to come. Easier than seeing the confusion or judgment in Jessica's eyes. If you're feeling the tension of this moment, leave a like on this video. Let us know you're invested in Emma's journey. Oh no. That's terrible, Jessica said sympathetically. I'm so sorry. It's okay, Emma said, forcing a smile. He understands. The lie felt like a weight on her chest, but she pushed it aside. Today was about her accomplishments. She'd worked hard for 4 years, maintained a 3.8 GPA, been active in clubs and volunteer work. She deserved to enjoy this day, without feeling guilty. At 5:30, the graduates began lining up. There were 312 students in Emma's class, all dressed in matching white gowns and caps. The energy was electric, students laughing, taking photos, embracing each other. Emma let herself get caught up in it, pushing thoughts of her father to the back of her mind. Principal Chin appeared, clipboard in hand, organizing the procession. All right, everyone, let's line up alphabetically by last name. Remember, when your name is called, walk across the stage, accept your diploma from me, shake hands with the school board president, and pose for your photo. Keep it moving smoothly. The orchestra began playing Pomp and Circumstance, and the procession began. Emma watched as her classmates filed onto the field, row by row. When her row started moving, she took a deep breath and followed. The football field was packed. Emma estimated there had to be over 1,000 people in attendance. She scanned the crowd instinctively, looking for, but no, her father wasn't here. She'd made sure of that. So, why did she feel a pang of disappointment? Comment below what city you're watching from. We love connecting with viewers all around the world. ****. The ceremony began with the national anthem, followed by speeches from the valedictorian, the student council president, and Principal Chin. Emma barely heard any of it. She was thinking about her father, alone in their small apartment, missing this moment. She shook her head, trying to focus. This was her choice. She'd wanted this. Finally, it was time for the diploma presentations. Principal Chin returned to the microphone. Before we begin calling names, Mrs. Chin said, her voice carrying clearly across the field, I have a special announcement. This year, we're doing something a bit different. One of our students has a father who represents everything we try to teach here at Lincoln High: dedication, hard work, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment. This father has worked tirelessly to ensure his daughter had every opportunity to succeed, often at great personal cost. Emma's attention snapped to the stage. A cold feeling of dread washed over her. No. She wouldn't. Would she? That father is here today, Mrs. Chin continued, and he has a message for his daughter and for all of you. Please welcome Mr. Tom Harrison. If your heart is racing right now, hit that like button. This is about to get intense. ****. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. Her father walked onto the stage, but he wasn't wearing his janitor uniform. He was dressed in a suit, not an expensive one, but clean and neat. He looked different somehow. Confident, dignified. Around her, students began whispering. Emma felt hundreds of eyes on her. Jessica grabbed her hand. Emma, that's your dad. You said he was working. Emma couldn't respond. She couldn't breathe. Tom took the microphone. His hands were steady, his voice clear. Thank you, Principal Chun, he began. My daughter Emma asked me not to come to her graduation today. She told me she was ashamed of me. Ashamed that I'm a janitor, that I don't drive a nice car or wear expensive clothes, that I work at the mall cleaning floors while other parents work in offices with impressive titles. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Emma wanted to disappear, to sink into the ground and never resurface. This couldn't be happening. I'm not here to embarrass my daughter, Tom continued, his voice growing stronger. I'm here to teach her and all of you something important. I'm here to tell you a story about what a janitor father really means. He paused, looking out over the sea of faces. 18 years ago, I had a good job. I was an accountant at a mid-sized firm in downtown Cleveland. I wore a suit every day. I had a nice car. On paper, I was exactly the kind of father my daughter wouldn't be ashamed of. Emma's mind reeled. Her father had been an accountant? She'd never known that. But when Emma was 5, her mother left us. Rachel struggled with addiction, and despite our efforts to help her, she couldn't stay. I was suddenly a single father with a young daughter and a demanding career that required 60-hour weeks and frequent travel. Subscribe to the channel if you're feeling this story. We need your support to keep creating content like this. Asterisk, asterisk. Tom's voice softened. I had a choice to make. I could keep the impressive job and the nice car, pay for childcare, and miss my daughter's childhood. Or I could find work that would let me be present, work that would let me take Emma to school every morning, pick her up every afternoon, help with homework every evening, and tuck her into bed every night. He looked directly at Emma now, and even from a distance, she could see the emotion in his eyes. So, I took a job as a janitor. It paid less. It had no prestige. But it had flexible hours. It let me be there for every parent-teacher conference, every school play, every science fair. It let me be her father, not just a paycheck. Tears were streaming down Emma's face now. Around her, many of the parents were crying too. I've mopped floors, Tom said. I've cleaned toilets. I've taken out trash and waxed floors and scrubbed graffiti off walls. And you know what? I've never been ashamed of it. Not for one single day. Because every time I put on that uniform, I knew I was doing it so my daughter could have a better life than I did. He pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. Emma maintained a 3.8 GPA. She was accepted to Ohio State University. She volunteered at the community center every weekend for 2 years. She learned to play the piano, lessons I paid for with overtime shifts. She had braces, which cost me a year's worth of savings. She went on the senior trip to Washington, D.C., which I made possible by taking a third job for 6 months. If you're crying right now, you're not alone. Leave a comment telling us how this story is making you feel. Asterisk, asterisk. Tom's voice cracked slightly. A janitor father means Saturday mornings spent in the emergency room when you fell off your bike. It means late nights helping you study for chemistry tests I barely understood. It means sewing your Halloween costumes by hand because we couldn't afford store-bought ones. It means going without a new coat for 3 winters so you could have a laptop for school. He folded the paper and looked out at the crowd. I'm not the only parent here who's made sacrifices. I'm not special, but I want my daughter and all of you graduates to understand something. The measure of a person isn't their job title or their salary or the car they drive. It's what they're willing to sacrifice for the people they love. It's showing up day after day, even when it's hard. It's choosing love over pride, presence over prestige. The football field was absolutely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Emma, Tom said, his voice breaking now, I'm sorry if having a janitor for a father embarrassed you. I'm sorry if I couldn't give you the material things your friends had. But I'm not sorry for being there. I'm not sorry for choosing you over everything else. And I hope someday you'll understand that the greatest gift a parent can give isn't money or status. It's unwavering love and presence. He set down the microphone and walked off the stage. The silence lasted for another heartbeat. Then someone started clapping. It was Jessica's father, the successful businessman. He stood up, applauding. Then Jessica's mother joined him. Then more parents. Then students. Within seconds, the entire stadium was on its feet in a standing ovation that seemed to shake the very ground. Emma sat frozen in her chair, tears pouring down her face, unable to move or speak. The truth of her father's words crashed over her like a wave. All those years, all those sacrifices she'd never known. She'd been so caught up in comparing herself to her peers, so worried about appearances, that she'd failed to see what was right in front of her. She'd had a father who chose her, who'd given up everything for her. And she'd told him she was ashamed. Hit that subscribe button if the story is moving you. We're just getting started, and you won't want to miss the conclusion. Asterisk, asterisk. Principal Chin returned to the microphone, wiping her own eyes. Thank you, Mr. Harrison, for those powerful words. Now let's celebrate these graduates. The ceremony continued, but Emma barely registered it. When her name was called, Emma Christine Harrison, she walked across the stage in a daze, accepted her diploma, and posed for her photo. She saw her father in the crowd now, standing with a woman who looked somehow familiar. Was that her mother? The ceremony concluded with a traditional cap toss. Students around Emma threw their caps in the air with shouts of joy and celebration. Emma threw hers too, but her heart wasn't in it. As soon as they were dismissed, Emma pushed through the crowd, searching for her father. She had to find him. She had to apologize, to explain, to somehow make this right. But when she reached the spot where she'd seen him, he was gone. Chapter 3. The Reconciliation. Welcome to the final chapter of this emotional journey. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss our stories. And please leave a like on this video. It helps us tremendously. Emma ran through the crowd, her graduation gown billowing behind her, desperately searching for her father. Parents and students milled about everywhere, taking photos, hugging, laughing. The joyful chaos of a graduation in full swing surrounded her, but Emma felt like she was moving through a nightmare. "Dad," she called out, her voice lost in the noise. "Dad." Jessica caught up with her, still holding her diploma. "Emma, wait. What are you doing?" "I have to find him," Emma said frantically. "I have to apologize." "Did you see where he went?" "No, but Emma?" Jessica paused, choosing her words carefully. "What he said up there, is it true? You told him not to come?" Emma stopped running. She turned to face her best friend, shame burning in her chest.
"Yes."
"I told him." I was embarrassed. "I told him I didn't want him here, because he's a janitor." The words sounded even worse when she said them out loud. Jessica's expression was a mixture of shock and disappointment. "Emma, how could you? Your dad is amazing. He's been at every single school event since we were kids. My dad's missed half of them because of work meetings. Do you know how many times I wished my dad cared as much as yours does?" The words hit Emma like a slap. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. Meet me at Rosewood Park. Near the pond where we used to feed the ducks. Dad, I have to go, Emma said to Jessica. "I'm sorry, Go, Jessica said, squeezing her hand. "Fix this." "And Emma? Your dad's right. You're lucky to have him." If you're rooting for Emma and her father, leave a comment telling us. Your engagement keeps this channel going. Emma ran to the parking lot, struggled out of her graduation gown, and drove her old Honda Civic, the car her father had bought her used from a coworker, toward Rosewood Park. It was a 15-minute drive, and every second felt like an eternity. Rosewood Park had been their place when she was little. Every Sunday, they would come here with a bag of bread to feed the ducks in the pond. Her father would push her on the swings and help her across the monkey bars. They'd have picnics on the grass, simple sandwiches and fruit, but Emma had loved those days. When had she stopped appreciating those memories? When had she started seeing her father's efforts as something to be ashamed of instead of something to be grateful for? She parked hastily and ran down the path toward the pond. The evening sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The park was mostly empty at this hour, just a few joggers and dog walkers. Tom sat on their old bench overlooking the pond, still wearing his suit. Next to him was the woman Emma had glimpsed at the ceremony, and now, seeing her up close, Emma was certain. "Mom," Emma said, her voice barely a whisper. Rachel Harrison stood up, tears already in her eyes. She was older now, with lines around her eyes and silver threads in her hair, but it was unmistakably her. "Hi, baby girl." Emma looked from her mother to her father, confused. "I don't understand. What are you doing here?" "I called her," Tom said quietly. "After you told me not to come to your graduation, I realized this conversation needed to happen with both of us present." "Sit down, Emma." Emma sat, her heart pounding. She hadn't seen her mother in over 13 years. Rachel had left when Emma was 5, disappeared into a spiral of addiction. There had been a few cards and phone calls in the early years, then nothing. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see how this family's story unfolds. We're almost at the emotional conclusion. Your mother got sober 6 years ago, Tom said. She reached out to me 3 years ago, asking about you. We've been in contact since then. Why didn't you tell me? Emma asked, looking at her father. Because I wanted her to be fully stable before she came back into your life, Tom replied. I didn't want you to go through the pain of losing her again, if she relapsed. She's been sober for 6 years now, with a steady job and her own apartment. I was planning to tell you after graduation, to let you decide if you wanted a relationship with her. Rachel spoke up, her voice shaking. Emma, your father called me 2 days ago and told me what you said to him. About being ashamed. And I knew I needed to be here. She sat down beside Emma on the bench. When I left, I was drowning. I had a disease, addiction, that I couldn't control. I made terrible choices that hurt everyone I loved. But do you know what your father did? He didn't badmouth me to you. He didn't poison you against me. He told you I was sick, that I loved you, and that sometimes adults have problems they need to fix. Tears were flowing freely down Emma's face now. I barely remember you. I know, Rachel said softly. And that's my fault, my loss. But I want you to know what your father did after I left. He could have been bitter. He could have given up. Instead, he became both mother and father to you. He learned to braid your hair by watching YouTube videos. He learned to cook your favorite meals. He attended every school event, every doctor's appointment, every dance recital. Leave a like on this video if this story is touching your soul. We pour our hearts into these narratives, and your support means everything. Asterisk, asterisk. I took a job with less prestige and less pay, so I could be there for you, Tom added. And I've never regretted it, Emma. Not once. But what happened at graduation, that hurt me more than you know. Not because of what it says about me, but because of what it says about you. Emma flinched at his words. Dad, I'm so sorry. I was so stupid, so shallow. All my friends have parents with these impressive jobs and nice things, and I felt like I didn't measure up. Like we didn't measure up. And that's exactly the problem, Tom said gently. You've been measuring yourself by the wrong things. Emma, look at me. She looked up at her father, this man she'd taken for granted for so long. I don't care if you become a CEO or a janitor, Tom said. I don't care if you make $1 million or minimum wage. What I care about is the person you are, your character, your compassion, your integrity. And right now, I'm worried about those things. The words stung, but Emma knew she deserved them. I know. I've been terrible. I've been selfish and ungrateful, and you've been human, Rachel interrupted. You're 18 years old, Emma. You're allowed to make mistakes. What matters is what you do next. Tom pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. I was going to give you this as a graduation present. I almost didn't after what you said. But your mother convinced me you needed to see it. Emma took the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a thick stack of papers. She pulled them out and began to read. They were pay stubs, hundreds of them going back 18 years. But what caught Emma's attention were the handwritten notes on many of them. Extra shift so Emma can have new school shoes. Overtime for Emma's field trip to the Science Museum. Third job on weekends, saving for Emma's college fund. Asterisk took night shift. Pays more. Emma's braces need to be paid off. Asterisk. Page after page, year after year. A meticulous record of every sacrifice her father had made. Emma's hands shook as she read them, tears blurring her vision. Comment below with your thoughts on Tom's sacrifice. We love reading your perspectives. Asterisk, asterisk. I kept these, Tom said, not because I wanted you to feel guilty, but because someday I wanted you to understand. Love isn't always big, dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's just showing up. It's working the extra shift. It's saying no to things you want so your child can have things they need. Emma couldn't hold it together anymore. She dropped the papers and threw her arms around her father, sobbing. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I was awful. I was cruel. You've given me everything, and I threw it back in your face. Tom held his daughter tight, his own tears falling now. I forgive you, sweetheart. Of course I forgive you. I don't deserve it, Emma cried. I don't deserve you. That's what love is, Tom said. It's not about deserving. It's about choosing every single day to be there for the people who matter most. They sat there for a long time, father and daughter, holding each other as the sun set over the pond. Rachel watched them with tears streaming down her face, grateful for this man who had been strong enough to do what she couldn't. Finally, Emma pulled back and wiped her eyes. She looked at her mother. "I want to get to know you again, if that's okay." Rachel nodded, unable to speak. "But I also need to say something," Emma continued, looking between her parents. "I've spent so much time worrying about what other people think, about how things look from the outside. I forgot to appreciate what really matters. Dad, you've been my hero my whole life, and I was too blind to see it. If this resolution is giving you all the feels, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We have more incredible stories coming your way. Asterisk, asterisk." Tom smiled through his tears. "You're young, Emma. You're going to make mistakes. The important thing is that you learn from them." "I will," Emma promised. "Starting now. I want everyone to know what you did for me. I want everyone to know that my father is a janitor, and I'm proud of him. I'm proud of everything you've sacrificed." "There's something else you should know," Tom said. He pulled out another envelope, this one thicker than the first. "This is for you. It's your college fund. I've been saving for 18 years. Emma opened it and gasped. Inside was a bank statement showing $47,000. "Dad, this is... How did you—" "3 jobs for many years," Tom said simply. "Overtime whenever I could get it. I lived cheaply, so you wouldn't have to. You got a partial scholarship to Ohio State, but this should cover the rest of your first 2 years. Maybe more if you're careful." Emma stared at the statement, overwhelmed. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll make the most of it," Tom replied. "Say you'll remember that success isn't about impressing other people. It's about being true to yourself and the people you love." "I will," Emma said. "I promise." Let us know in the comments, what would you have done in Tom's situation? We love hearing from you. Asterisk, asterisk. As the last light faded from the sky, the 3 of them walked back to the parking lot together. Emma between her parents, feeling like she was being given a second chance, not just with her mother, but with her father too. "There's something I want to do," Emma said suddenly. "Can we go back to the school?" "To the after party." Tom and Rachel exchanged glances. "Are you sure?" Tom asked. "I'm sure," Emma said. "There's something I need to say." They drove back to Lincoln High School, where the after-graduation party was in full swing in the gymnasium. Music pumped through speakers, students danced and laughed, and the air was thick with excitement and emotion. Emma walked in with her father on one side and her mother on the other. Conversations stopped as people noticed them. Emma felt the weight of hundreds of eyes, but this time she didn't care. She found Jessica near the refreshment table and borrowed the microphone they'd been using for announcements. "Can I have everyone's attention?" Emma's voice cut through the music. The DJ stopped the music. The gym fell silent. Emma's heart pounded, but she forced herself to speak. "Most of you saw what happened at graduation. You heard my father tell everyone that I'd asked him not to come, that I was ashamed of him." She took a deep breath. He was telling the truth. "I said those things, and I was wrong. I was wrong in every possible way." If you're still watching, please hit that like button. We're almost at the end, and your support keeps us creating these powerful stories. Asterisk, asterisk. She looked at her father, standing at the edge of the gym. "My dad gave up a career as an accountant to be there for me after my mom left. He took a job as a janitor because it meant he could take me to school and help me with homework and be present in my life. He worked 3 jobs to save for my college education. He went without things he needed, so I could have things I wanted." Her voice grew stronger. "And instead of being grateful, I was embarrassed. I judged him by his job title instead of his character. I cared more about what other people thought than about the incredible man who raised me." She turned to address the crowd. "We're all going to college soon. Some of us will become doctors, lawyers, engineers. Some of us might become janitors or cashiers or factory workers. And you know what? None of that defines our worth as human beings. What defines us is how we treat people, how we love, how we show up for the people who matter." Emma's voice cracked. "My father is the best man I know, and from now on, when someone asks me what my dad does, I'm going to say he's a janitor. And I'm going to say it with pride. The gymnasium erupted in applause. Students and chaperones alike stood and clapped. Emma walked across the gym to her father and hugged him again. "I love you, Dad," she said. "Thank you for never giving up on me." "I love you too, sweetheart," Tom said. "And I never will." Subscribe to this channel if you believe in the power of family, forgiveness, and unconditional love. We have so many more stories to share with you. Asterisk, asterisk. Hashtag epilogue. 6 months later, Emma sat in her dorm room at Ohio State University, working on an essay for her English composition class. The assignment was to write about someone who had influenced her life. She smiled as she typed, knowing exactly what to write. Her relationship with her father had never been stronger. They talked on the phone every few days, and he came to visit once a month. She'd also been building a relationship with her mother.